You don't build longevity in a storm. You prepare for it before it hits. So let's learn how to recession-proof your business in 2025. I think there is a reframe that's needed because often we are asking the wrong question. If we're asking the question of, okay, how do I avoid downfall in recession? How do I avoid problems? How do I avoid everything falling apart, right? I think that's the wrong question to be asking. So when we talk about recession-proofing your business, I think of that as reactive. And so I like to reframe things to business longevity because that's proactive. Now, for a long time, I have worked with worship leaders all over the world. And when we talk about ministry longevity, we talk about how you don't just achieve that someday, right? You're not all of a sudden gonna wake up 30 years into ministry and say, I think I'm gonna try to be healthy. I think I'm gonna try to have longevity in ministry. No, you probably wouldn't last that long anyway if you did wake up that day 30 years in. However, you need to start from the beginning. Well, the same thing is true. We have to be proactive in our business leadership. We have to be proactive because you don't stumble into sustainability. It's a strategy. So I'm gonna give you a 3-part strategy here, and it's an acronym. It spells the word MAP. We're gonna map out your longevity in business, and this is how you recession-proof it, if you wanna use that language, but I like to use the word business longevity. So the first letter, M, market clarity. You need to be so clear on who you serve. Why is that important? Why does it matter? Well, because if you're not clear on who you serve, when you get into crisis mode, you're gonna cast an even wider net, right? You're gonna say, well, let's have a sale for this person. Let's try to reach these people. Let's make a product for those people. And you're just gonna exhaust yourself and you're going to burn out. So you have to have market clarity. Ask yourself, who do I really serve? And not just now, but in the future. What are they gonna need in 6 months? What are they gonna need in 12 months? What are they gonna need in a few years? A great example is somebody who serves people who make toddler food, right? I was listening to this Amy Porterfield show, which if you're not familiar with her, you should go check out her podcast. It's a really great marketing podcast. But she talked about how there are some people who she works with, they make food for toddlers. Okay, great. Well, they know who they serve, and they also know that the length of time that they serve that person is only a few years. And they had to make a decision, right? Am I gonna make food for this child as they grow, like meal plans, or are we gonna stick with our market of toddlers? Well, in this case, they are sticking with their market of toddlers. That's great. But for you, you need to ask yourself, do I want to grow with my customers? Well, then I need to map that out. I need to pay attention, know who you serve, and map out how they are going to grow with you and how you're gonna grow with them. Because here's the deal, if you promise growth to your people, like let's say you're a business coach, right? And you say, I'm gonna help you grow your business. Well, once they grow their business, do you have anything for them? Or are you only addressing the beginners? Neither is bad, neither is wrong, but you need to be clear on that. So make sure that you have market clarity. If you want business longevity, that you start that now. And as I said before, we have to prepare for this. You're not gonna do well if you try to figure this out when you're in crisis. And let's be honest, right now, everything feels like it's crisis. The world is going crazy. The headlines are nuts. I have these different news recaps come to my email every morning, and it's kind of overwhelming. I don't even like reading them anymore, right? So we have to make sure that we're not living in crisis mode. And even if you haven't done this yet, start now, plan ahead. I want to take a moment before we continue today's video to invite you into something new. If you're a faith-driven business owner or leader, this is for you. At Overflow Worship, we believe that leadership is worship in action. We believe it's not just about influence, it's about stewardship. It's showing up with integrity, courage, and conviction, especially when no one's watching. It's surrendering your plans to God and still building with bold, strategic action. We exist to equip leaders like you with more than inspiration. We give you the how, systems, strategies, and usable tools that simplify growth, guard your peace, and multiply your impact. Because you weren't meant to lead alone. So I want to personally invite you into our community by subscribing to our free newsletter today. I'll send you encouragement and the tools and truth you need right to your inbox. Visit overflowworship.com/newsletter or click the link below. let's get back to today's video. All right, let's move on to A, audit often. Run your products, your processes, and offers through the ringer. You need to ask yourself, does this support your why? Now, we've talked in other videos, and if you haven't seen them, make sure you go back and check them out. But we've talked in other videos about knowing your why. We need to understand why we do things, because if all we're driven by is profit, if all we want to do is make more money, that's going to come up empty, especially for us as Christian business owners. We're wanting to make an impact on the future of the church, right? And so we need to be intentional about our why. So audit your processes often. Ask yourself, whether it's an SOP or it's a product or a sale or anything else, make sure you revisit those and think, okay, is this still effective? Is this aligned with the future growth, or is it just comfortable, right? Is it just something I think, oh, I've always done it this way. It's going to be kind of hard to change it and I don't really want to. Okay, fine. But I guarantee you that's probably going to cause problems in the future. And not only to, let's say, recession-proof your business, but to help it thrive. So what I'm talking about here, this framework is not only going to help you with business longevity so that when crisis hits, your systems work, right? You can focus on clarity and not fixing your systems, right? But this is also going to help you grow. So this is like a multifaceted benefit to you and to your business. So as you audit your processes, just ask yourself, does this support my why? Is it still effective? And is it aligned with future growth, or am I just comfortable with it? Okay? Now here's the deal. If it doesn't support your why, get rid of it. And I know that that's easier said than done, but it's the truth. Let's move on to the last letter of MAP, P, Purposeful Systems. This is a tag on A, right? We said audit your systems often, and then make sure that if you make a new one, that it's purposeful. They have to serve your why, not just your routine. Again, I'm a systems girl. I love a good spreadsheet. I love a good SOP. It kind of makes me happy to have those things all in place, but they have to be purposeful. We have to ask ourselves often, is this really helpful, or am I just making things harder than they need to be? Often in conversations with different team members, I will say, I think we're coming at this from the harder way. Let's see if we can zoom out and simplify, right? This system is getting a little too complex, a little too hard. Let's zoom out, see if we can simplify. So that is a way that your systems can be purposeful. And then use them. I think sometimes, I don't know if anyone else out there is like me, I just like the system. I'm like, oh, this is pretty. And then they don't get used. So make sure that it's purposeful and it gets used. And again, if something's not working, just stop doing it. It doesn't matter if it's familiar or easy, just stop. Don't be sentimental, don't be precious about your system. If it's broken, just get rid of it. If you want to recession-proof your business, and rather, as I like to say, give yourself business longevity, right? This is not just about crisis. This is about thriving for the long haul. If you want to do that, make sure that you map your longevity. If you want to call yourself like a prepper, fine. Call me a prepper. Like, hey, we're preparing for the catastrophe, fine. But preparation is wisdom, not fear. I'm not doing it because I'm afraid, right? That's a huge component here. When we think about the future, or we even think about now, like, are we headed into a recession? What's going to happen with interest rates, and what's going to happen with all the tariffs and everything, right? There's a ton of fear out there, but you have an opportunity to tune out that fear and lead from wisdom. And these systems, this process begins your journey in wisdom. The businesses that think ahead are the ones that last. So start doing that now. Map your way to a resilient and purpose-driven future. Till next time, we'll see you later.